Good morning, welcome to a morning review. This is Kim Watson speaking for Ezeetrader. Apologies for the last few weeks being away, but I was away on holiday for a couple of weeks, and then unfortunately my broadband wasn't working properly, so making it very difficult to try and upload things. But back to normal now. Looking at the euro dollar first, and as you see, overnight through the Asian session we've pretty much been selling off on the euro there. Some odd old sort of price action after Friday's bullish harami. Now obviously it's only early part of today, and we could see some sort of reversal. We've got the weekly pivot above us, which is always a possibility that we could see that being targeted. But at the moment, Friday's rather whipsaw sort of price action with the the non-farm payrolls coming out there, and the consideration whether the Fed are they or aren't they. It sort of really made it quite a choppy old afternoon, with euro eventually recovering but giving back everything this morning already. So in this last hour or so, we've been certainly rolling over here. Now, potential for today, well, it's very difficult when it's in this sort of position because it's either or, very much an either or. There's trend is still possibly to the downside. There are some certain signs that, well, this may be coming to an end, this move, possibly, but certainly no clear signs. And we're in this sort of quite wide range when you look at things with this spiky price action that happened on Friday. This is becoming quite a typical picture from non-farm payrolls recently. We've seen a lot of this spike in one direction and then a move in the other direction, then sort of a consolidation move. Very difficult to read and trade. But anyway, well, from here, as I say, there's the possibility of the upside with the weekly pivot, and that would be with the R1 just fractionally above daily R1 and Friday's highs. It'd be a good point if it went up there to probably be closing the trade off. Aside of that, there's, well, that's pretty much it really. I mean, there may be some signals starting to come in on the short side here. We've got a bit of divergence going on the short time frame. We've got a bit of 5-minute divergence kicking in at this point here. So there's the possibility that it could be looking to base out this earlier part this morning. But we'll see. For now, though, I'm not trying to catch a knife. I'd wait for a clear signal for any long positions. You have to, the way it's running, but even possibly look for the short side. I mean, this candle's not finished. There's for the short potential there, as it's already hit the daily trend line. There may be an opportunity to perhaps on the close of the candle bring the trend line up and look for the break of the trend line there towards the S1. Okay, cable. And cable's been selling off. I mean, even on Friday it just continued its route to the south side here, and it really it's quite annoying when I'm looking to go away for another few days abroad, and it's just been weakening. We've now had quite a few days of downside. We had a little doji in the middle there, but there's quite a trend to the downside, and Friday's close towards the bottom really still suggests it looks relatively weak, but it's back to this sort of point of the prior lows there. There's a prior high around that sort of region as well, so it may be a pivotal area where it may find a bit of support. If it does weaken a little bit from here, perhaps the 150 area may be even more pivotal. But at the moment there are sort of some signs. There's a bit of divergence on the 60 minutes here that we saw coming through on Friday, and it's got its daily pivot yet to be touched above, but just run into the 60.21, so that's not really helping things at all. So just having a bit of a reaction from that. But if it can start pushing up, breaks the pivot levels, well, the R1 could be in sight for today. 50's already been tested numerous times. That in itself may be a partial a stumbling point for any chance of its hitting its R1, but we'll just have to watch how these markets run. If they both start running down, the euro and the pound, well, the obvious thing here then is to be looking at this the trend that's across the lows here, and just look to see if we can play it down to the S1 and further downside. Okay, dollar yen. should say no significant news coming out today, and we got the US on holiday this afternoon, so the volumes in the markets could be somewhat light, and certainly will be later in the afternoon. Dollar yen, daily perspective, it's quite messy here. It's starting to, I say daily, quite messy. It's looking like it's wanting to put a little bit of a reversal. Last week when we were looking at the trading room, one thing I was sort of noticing is this, let's get my pen, this movement here, so it flagged up here, so there's a chance it could push on further south really, but at the moment, well, to say, trying to put some sort of reversal in, and you look at this hourly sort of picture here, there was divergence coming into play into Friday's again whipsaw move there, so it's erring at the moment to me whether this is bottoming out a little bit and may push up towards its daily R1 today, but has got a bit of resistance in the 50, etc., and the 100 there before it gets there. Has got the weekly pivot above us as well, so it's got a couple of targets to the upside there. The weekly pivot may be a bit more of a draw, we'll see, but there is the potential. To the downside, well, the S1 sits quite a long way below us, below Friday's lows. May need to see a little bit more price action before we can take anything to the lower side, but we do have this trend line running across here, so if it does start breaking, well, maybe something to watch out for. Looking at the Aussie dollar, Aussie is such a weak currency, and it's been sitting in that weak zone for quite some time now, several months. There never seems to be much in the way of good news for the Aussie, but it's still got its weekly pivot above it, yet to be hit. Weekly and monthly pivot, sorry, monthly pivot, weekly pivot's above as well, and it actually missed last week's weekly pivot just looking there. Not massively surprising when the market's so weak, but again, when I'm looking at this sort of price action, it's a bit of divergence on Friday. It's already pushed up to hit its daily pivot, makes it a bit more, well, it's a little bit stronger than what the cable's done there, but if it does start breaking up above that level again, it could be interesting for the R1 sort of area. But personally, I prefer to be on the short side, and I do prefer to be on the long side of the Aussie dollar. It may at some stage, it may not be far off of putting some sort of basing price in, but at the moment, when you look at the daily candles, you see these big downward days closing right at the low, you expect a continuation of that move. So I can't be really too keen on trying to trade alongside of that for now. Okay, that's it for me. So as I say, very little news. We've got US on holiday today. There's some more data that's been coming out this morning, and German industrial production, etc., has come out, which is a bit disappointing, which may have been a reason for a bit of the early downside on the euro here. But let's have a look and see how well it recovers, and if it can push up there, as I say, to the weekly pivot, etc. Okay, that's it for me. Have a great day. I'll be back tomorrow. Bye for now.